It says, a 6-foot tall man walks at a rate of 5 feet per second away from a light that is 15 feet above ground. When he is 10 feet from the light, ... what rate is the length of his shadow changing? Okay, guys. So I try to have you guys understand this by putting in a triangle, right? So, what do we know about anything? Has anyone ever walked at night next to a light post?
Yeah.
Okay, you do. So you've experienced that. Like, it's actually applicable. Okay. So in this picture, where would the light post be?
The little long part.
It's probably right here, right? So like, I can go ahead and I can draw something. It's not going to be fancy. Okay. So this is probably like your light post, right? And as the light goes, it's eventually going to hit the ground, right? So that's kind of what this is doing for us. Does that make sense? Like this is the beam of light hitting the ground. Yeah? Okay. So, and then it also tells us that there is a man. How tall is he? 6 feet. So eventually he's going to walk away far enough that his head's going to be in like direct contact with the light. Does that make sense? So here's my man. Okay? So you understand this picture, right? There's light, it's hitting a guy. Let's fill in some other pertinent information. How tall is that light post? Okay, so here, it's 15 feet. How tall is the man? 6. It will be, eventually. So, it says, where is he walking? Is he walking to the light or away from the light?
Away.
So you guys understand that as his path, he probably started over here and he's walking away from it, right? So we can agree that this distance between the light post and the man is changing, right? So let's call it X. Because that distance is changing, right? And then, eventually, will he be out of the path of the light? So the distance between here and here, let's call that Y. Because they're different. No, just this portion. But that's a good question. What if I did want to talk about the whole bottom? From like the light post to the end of its path. X plus Y, right? So if I wanted to talk about that entire distance, right? Now, it's telling me a rate, and I got to figure out what that is. So it says, walks at a rate of 5 feet per second away from the light. So, am I talking about the X distance or the Y distance? They're both changing, but which one is talking about the distance between them and the light? The X. Do you guys see that? So here, you can actually say that dx dt is 5 feet per second. Okay? I mean, he's booking it. It's nighttime. He's scared. Now, okay? So, what is the rate, what rate is the length of his shadow changing? Okay? So guys, right here, he's casting a shadow, right? And that means Y. Because after he's away from Y, it's not going to cast a shadow. Can we agree with that? Okay. So as he walks, his shadow's changing, right? Think about like when you're really close to the light, the shadow's right there. But as you get further and further away, that shadow gets longer and longer, kind of like the sun in daylight. Have you ever noticed that? Yes? Okay, thank you. Not crazy. Now, the question is, how are we going to set this up? Well, do we see some triangles here? Okay, what's one triangle you guys see? So we see the entire triangle, like that 15 and then this XY on the bottom, right? Okay, what other triangle do you see? The 6 and just the Y. So let's represent that. So 15 is comparable to X plus Y, which is congruent, or not congruent, similar to what over what? Just 6 over Y. Okay? And if I wanted to, I could solve this for who? You could solve it for Y. I'm going to multiply by Y on both sides. I'm going to multiply by X plus Y on both sides. So I'm just going to get 15y, you guys with me so far, equals 6 times x plus y, right? Little cross multiplication action there. Therefore, I get 15y equals 6x plus 6y, or 9y equals 6x. Does that make sense? Are we good so far? Okay. Now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for how his shadow is changing. So what is that? I'm looking for a rate, so you know it has to be a derivative. So which letter up here meant shadow? Y. So I'm looking for